welcome to the episode 3 of the Fibre Nest knitting podcast. It's been a while since I recorded. I'm certainly meant to record sooner than this. After going to the Southern Wool show, I've got lots to share from there. So I guess today I've got an update on acquisitions, the Southern Wool show, and what that was like. FOs, whips, some yarn that I forgot to, well, not that I forgot to show you, yarn that I meant to show you in the first episode but couldn't find it, and now I found it, so I can show you that. A new craft that I've started in the last couple of weeks, and Slay Your Dragons. So this was something that I heard about in It Is a Sarah's knitting podcast, so I'll come to that later. But yeah, that's just kind of a basic rundown of what I'm going to cover today. Right, so where shall I start? Let's start with the yarn show. So I've got lots of footage to put in. We'll see what the quality's like. So I found an old camcorder, proper old school. I think it's about 15 years old. I've never used it. It stayed in the box, and I thought, well, actually this could be a good way, a good piece of equipment to get some footage at the yarn show. Turns out that it's crap. Yeah. I can't remember which way round was it. I think it could only focus. I can't remember which way round it was, but either it couldn't pick up on things that were really close to it. Like, it was better suited for filming things from a distance, but of course, when you're looking at yarn, you can't really do that from a distance. You need to do it close up. So, I have footage. I may use it. I've not actually had a chance to look at it since the yarn show, which was about 3 weeks ago. So we'll see what it's like. I did, because I was noticing having some issues with it as I was recording, I did take some footage on my phone as well, just as a backup, because I didn't want to show up with nothing at all to show you from the yarn show. So I'll put some of that in shortly. I guess in summary, what the Southern Wool show was like. It was the first time I've been. So it's at Newbury Racecourse. So I've not been to a proper yarn show at all before, actually, and hadn't been to this one before. So I stayed overnight the night before, just so that I didn't have lots of driving to do. It's about 2.5 hours from where I live, but I've had a head injury earlier this year, and so it means that I can't really drive as in the same way that I used to. I can drive, but I just have to be extra careful when I'm driving and not overdo it on any given day in general, because then that'll throw me and my head will go. So got a cheap travel lodge nearby for the night before, so that was really good. I think it was only about £40 or something for the night, and then went along on the Sunday to the yarn show. The way it's laid out, I think most of the food is on the first floor. There are some food, there were like a couple of food vans, and like a snack bar that was doing, I think, I didn't pay too much attention, but they were doing like hot drinks and snacks and things. That was all on the ground floor, all accessible, so wheelchair ramps and so on. So the way that it was laid out, so the main rooms were in 2 separate buildings, and there didn't seem to be any rhyme or reason as to why one store was in one building as opposed to the other. It was all just kind of mixed and spread out. So there were lots of lovely stalls, a real mix. So plenty of hand-dyed yarn, lots of 4-ply merino sock yarn. There was quite a lot of fibre actually, for spinning. I don't spin and don't intend to because I barely have enough time to knit, never mind spin. So there were just a nice range of stalls really. There was non-superwash yarns, needlecraft. I'm not doing it very much justice, am I? I should have probably recorded this sooner when I remembered more of it. But anyway, a really nice selection of stalls, some that I'd seen before at the Alexandra Palace Knitting and Stitching show, which is now called Knit and Stitch. So some that I've seen before, some new to me yarn dyers, so that was really nice, and I'll show you shortly what I picked up there. It was nice, it was a nice vibe, everybody was friendly. It wasn't, there was space to move around, so I guess one of the things that has put me off the Alexandra Palace event is that it's just rammed. You know, you're just sardines, you're all squished up, you've got massive bags of yarn or fabric or what have you. You can't really get into the stalls to see anything because there's just too many people and hardly anywhere to sit down, and limited food options as well actually. So yeah, that was kind of put me off there because it's just too busy, there's too many people, but it wasn't like that at all at this yarn show. It was busy enough, but not so much that it, you know, it negatively impacted the experience of going there. I could still see everything that I wanted to see. There was a good range of things, so there were things like more commercial yarns, acrylics, then the more specialist yarns, a real lovely mix. I guess in terms of, so lots to choose from, and you'll see shortly that I found plenty to bring home with me. One of the things that was really nice, so when was it? It was, I think it was it was the first weekend in September. So it was pretty nice weather. It wasn't too hot. But one of the nice things about this venue is that there's so much outside space. Lots and lots of space, lots of tables and benches and things set up. So if the weather's nice, there's certainly places where you can sit and have a bit of a knit. So that was positive. That's, I think, you know, it would be weather dependent obviously, but there was an area that was covered over that had tables and chairs outside. So I guess as long as it wasn't cold, you could go and sit under there if you wanted to and get a bit of space. Up on the first floor where the food was, I think there was probably, I don't know, there were enough options. There were jacket potatoes, wraps, cake, coffee, that kind of thing. It wasn't like not a massive selection, but there was enough to get by. I'm gluten-free because I've got a sensitivity, not an allergy. And I was a bit worried that there wouldn't be anything there for me to eat, but it was fine. It wasn't really expensive. There wasn't a massive wait for food. And again, there were loads and loads of places where you could sit, whereas at Ali Pali, you'd struggle to get a table. You know, you'd struggle to sit anywhere, even if you find someone who, you know, if you share a table with people who you don't really know. Oh, I forgot my tea. I hate cold tea, but that's just about drinkable. It's Red Bush. What was I saying? Yeah, so plenty of space upstairs to sit and eat. Didn't feel rushed, so after I'd finished eating, I sat and knitted for a bit, watched some knitting podcasts on my phone, that kind of thing. Also spent quite a bit of time looking up patterns to figure out what yarn quantities I would need, because I guess I'd seen some patterns that I was thinking of getting some yarn for, but then I also saw some yarn that was really lovely, but I wanted to make sure I got the right amount. But you know, didn't feel rushed, could sit there, drink my drink, knit. No one, you know, you didn't feel like you had to get a move on and shift yourself like you do at Ali Pali. So again, that was really positive. This is my inside out mug. Joy. I love those films. I don't know if that's back to front actually. It might be. I might have to flip it later. Anyway. Right. So yeah, so I will insert footage and a couple of photos as well. But what I'll move on to now is acquisitions and the stuff that I picked up. Right, where shall I start? And apologies for last time as well. I noticed when I was watching it back, because I've got, this is my sewing area, and I've got my ironing board, just you're on a tripod on my ironing board, and I noticed last time that I kept wobbling the ironing board because I kept putting things off and on it. So sorry about that. I'll try not to do that today. Right, acquisitions. Sorry, crinkly bags. Sorry. Oh. I've got another bag somewhere, but I can't see it. I'll find it in a sec. Right, okay. Acquisitions. Oh, still got my old water bottle from the day. So yeah, I wanted to, I was so tempted to start knitting some of this up, but I've made myself not do it because I wanted to show it to you first. And also apologise because I don't really know where to look on my screen, so it might look like I'm looking in a weird direction, but that's just because I don't know where to look when I'm on my phone. Right, okay, so acquisitions. So a stall that I let me just pause. There's a little person upset. Okay, sorry about that. It's 9:15 and one of the kids just woke up from sleep and just needed to be settled. So hopefully she'll be okay now. Right. So I was just saying that I was really tempted to cast on all the things, but didn't because I wanted to show you first. So a stall that I really loved was called Under the Olive Tree. It's not a dye I'd heard of before, and I've been looking around at all the stalls and mostly thinking to myself, I've got no business buying any yarn because I've got so much yarn. However, I guess I was trying to be prudent and not go, not just buy yarn for the sake of it. But I saw so many things on this stall that it was so difficult to walk away from. And I guess things that have happened to me in the past when I've been to the Ali Pali show is that I've seen something gorgeous. I thought, isn't that lovely? Didn't get it. Didn't find out what the company's name for me to buy it later. And then have not stopped thinking about the particular thing and really kick myself for not getting it. Let me just drink my tea a bit more because I really will hate it if it goes cold. So Under the Olive Tree. Let me show you what I got. Okay, so I got a shawl kit. It's Under the Olive Tree Knits. So under theolivetreeknits.com. So you won't be able to see it very well from this card, but it's a yarn and pattern kit for a shawl. So it's the Paper Lantern shawl kit. So now I'm showing you, I can undo it all and show you properly and take it out of the bag. So yeah, you still don't get a really clear sense of it. Yeah, still not a really clear sense. I'll see if I can find another photo somewhere so you can see it a bit better. So anyway, so really reasonable. So pattern and yarn, it's £40. And oh, wonderful. I've only just noticed this because I've only just opened it. There's the download code to digitally download the pattern, which I hadn't realised. So it's £40, the pattern, and then this yarn. So this is 100% superwash merino, 4-ply. The colour is seafoam. That's not showing up very well actually, because on the screen it's reading more blue, but it's more of a kind of like a greeny blue. Let's see. No, it's still, no, it isn't that blue in real life. No, I can't quite get the right colour. Anyway, it's a really lovely colour. And then this bundle of 4 mini skeins. So these, again, superwash merino, and this. So this was all kitted up. So the colours are, I think this is coral, this is seashell here, this is golden hour, and this one is midnight in Paris. So let me show you those close up. Yeah, so yeah, they're 20, so these are 75-25, 20 grams. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to knitting that. Hopefully with the amount of yarn there that's there, it'd be quite a quick knit. The pattern looks is pretty repetitive, so I think as long as you can memorise the stitch pattern, you won't go far wrong. So there was that. So that's one thing that I got from that store. Right, let me put this away down there. And then what else did I get? Right, lots. So let me see. So I got these from the store. So these two sparkle, so silver stellina, so sparkle sock yarn, 75-20, and then 5% silver stellina. And the colourway of these two is Glacier. Again, that's looking pretty blue on screen, but it's a much more icy blue, much more cooler blue in real life. And then this one is called Golden Hour, and that's a 75-25 sock yarn. And if you can see the speckle in there. Where else can I show you? I really like those colours. That speckle in there. Is that some neon? That looks a bit neon on the screen, but maybe a bit more chartreuse. Can it focus? There we go. If I hide my face, it can focus better. There you go. Yeah, so I saw this colour, and this is the one that grabbed me. but I thought, well, I don't want to get single skeins because I've got lots of single skeins, and if I'm going to buy something, it needs to be for a project. So I got this and thought, right, what could I make with this? What could I put with it to make something? And so really liked this colour, but then also when I was looking at it, I was kind of in two minds, because I thought, well, I've just done my Alpine Bloom by Caitlin Hunter in similar-ish colours to this, not exactly, but a similar-ish palette. And I just thought, do I want exact, because this is going to be a tee or something, t-shirt. And I thought, do I want another t-shirt in a similar palette? And yes was the answer, because I just couldn't walk away from this. It was just gorgeous, just really grabbed me. So I don't know yet what pattern I'm going to make with this, but I'm really excited about getting this caked up and deciding what to do. So there's that. And what else did I get at that stall? So I also got, and I think this was all I got at that stall, 3 skeins of this. And this is, the colour is Rose Reverie, luxury 4-ply yarn, 50% superwash merino and 50% silk. So a bit of a, yeah, definitely luxury 4-ply, a bit of a luxury yarn. And I was, one of the patterns that I was wanting to purchase yarn for while I was there was, I think it's the Wool and Pine, is it the, it's either Love Child or Star Child. And the pattern, the main picture for the pattern, let me drink my tea because I'll be very sad if it goes cold. The main pattern for, it's a tee with kind of lacy yoke. I think it's a circular yoke design, lace up the top, and it's in a colour similar to this colour. And I'm not really very good at being original with colours in some respects. I usually, not always, but usually would end up knitting a pattern in the colours that are kind of suggestive for the main pattern picture. So this is very similar. Similar shade, but I thought, I don't care, I really like it. I liked that that version of the pattern on Ravelry. This yarn is lovely, so that's the plan for that yarn. So yeah, very happy about this. And then what else? So I saw a stall with some really beautiful lace shawls, and if you've seen my earlier episodes, you may be thinking that I'm mad and I've lost it, and there's a good chance that you're right. So I think I've certainly spoken before about the amount of whips that I've got, that I get so far with them, and then I hit the lace section, and then they just go into timeout because I'm consistently too tired to do lace. Although I'm about to contradict myself when you see one of my whips in a bit. But anyway, so the stall was Angela Gardner Studio. So let me hold this up. Angela Gardner Studio. So she had some absolutely beautiful samples displayed that were gorgeous. So she seemed to specialise mostly in lace yarns, and I would often veer away from lace yarns because it's really thin yarn. I haven't got the patience, basically, but the patterns were just so beautiful. I just couldn't resist it, so I got 1 skein of lace yarn. So this is 800 meters. Colour's not showing up very well. It reeds are kind of a more yellowy grey here in real life. So it's, yeah, kind of yellowy grey. So it's the angel lace yarn, and it's 70% baby alpaca, 20% silk, 10% cashmere. So pretty fancy yarn. And she had, as I say, the samples were absolutely gorgeous. And I was in two minds about buying one of the patterns. I think I might have offended her, actually. I didn't mean to. But when I was about to buy the pattern, I just decided not to, because the patterns were mostly lace, if that makes sense. So this is lace yarn, so of course it's mostly lace, but I mean the design was, there wasn't much stockinette, for instance. It was pretty much mostly a lace pattern throughout the project, and that's just never going to get knit on. So as much as I love the yarn and the idea of one of those shawls, as you'll know from earlier episodes, it's not going to get knit if I set out to do a whole lace pattern. So I took a card, got one skein, because I haven't got it in me to do more than 800 meters of really skinny yarn. We'll see, I might do this and love it. So I found a pattern that might be one I'm going to go with, which is kind of got some lace elements, but also some really easy knitting like garter or stockinette. So that's that. And then as soon as I walked in to the first building, first stall I came across, I can't remember the name of the stall actually. Was it Wool Tops? Let me see in here if there's one called Wool Tops. Sorry, I'm just looking at my programme. Yes, it was Wool Tops. So the stall was called Wool Tops. There was lots of, sorry, more tea before it goes cold. Right. So Wool Tops, lovely stall, seems to have less of the kind of hand-dyed stuff. A good mix actually, but they had a stand just as you came in with reduced yarns in, and I do like a bargain. And they had some Polworth sock yarn. So this is 400 meters, 100 grams, 80/20. So just natural, 2 skeins of natural, because, so 2 reasons. So I'd quite like to try different kinds of fibres, because I knit a lot with merino, and I hear all about all sorts of other breeds, like Rambouillet, Polworth and so on, and I'd like to try different fibres. Yeah, just see what they're like. So I am getting somewhere with this. So we went to the Netherlands on holiday last year, and I bought some local yarn, and it was Polworth, and I'm sure you'll see it at some point. But if I remember rightly, I don't think I bought just a natural, excuse me, to go with it as a contrast. So I thought, well, this would be really good to have. It was a few different yarns that I bought. in the Netherlands. It's called the Wee Yarn Shop or something like that. I'll look it up and I'll put it below or on the screen. So anyway, these were either £5 each or £10 each. It was ridiculous, ridiculously. Let's have a look. Is this? Was that it? I don't know if that was it. Sorry, I'm just looking at receipt, and I don't know if this was. I think it might even. So it was either £5 a skein or £10 a skein. Either way, a bargain. So I grabbed two. So they will be joined with other yarn at some point. Right, next. Sorry, crinkling. So I will get the crinkly yarn out of the way that's in the crinkly bag. So I went to an absolutely gorgeous stall, and it was Crochet UK. Let's have a look. Where's their card? Yeah. So Crochet UK, and they had, I'll insert some footage or photos, absolutely gorgeous crocheted mandalas. Now I've never done, I do a bit of crochet. I wouldn't say I'm particularly advanced. I've done some amigurumi, I've done a hexicardie and bits and bobs, but nothing, yeah, nothing especially fancy or difficult, I guess. So I've got no idea why I thought that this would be a good idea. Nevertheless, I did. So I'll show you the yarn. Sorry about the crinkling. So this is it 100% cotton? No. It's 4-ply, it's 50% cotton, 50% acrylic. I don't like buying acrylic, but this is gorgeous. So you can see, so that's one side, it's a gradient, so you pull from the centre. This is a 132 gram ball, which is 500 metres, so you get a better sense of the gradient from that side. So you can see it starts with this baby blue here, and then it goes to a green and a yellow, and it's absolutely gorgeous. So I got this with some of the extra light plum colour to make a mandala, and the one that will be in the footage or the photo that has this colour kind of radiating outwards on the hoop. I'll show you the hoop as well, which is I got lots of strange looks and lots of questions about why on earth I was walking around with a big hoop. So let me just pause a minute while I grab my hoop. I don't know why I'm doing this, because you're not going to get a sense of how big it is, but basically there's a big hoop. I think it's a 70cm hoop. So this is metal, white metal. It's a big hoop, and what you do is this isn't showing you anything, I'm going to put it down. You make your mandala and then you attach it to the hoop so that it's stretched out, and then you can hang it on the wall, and it just looks absolutely gorgeous. And it was one of those where I was looking at it and thinking, when on earth are you ever going to do this? But then also, I can't walk away from this. This will be one of those things that I won't be able to stop thinking about. So I just got it. It wasn't that expensive either. Yeah, it didn't end up costing too much altogether, and that included the pattern and the crochet hook. So that was that. So that's crinkly bag gone. And then there was another store not just across the way from her, and the store was Yarn Mixology. And this is shades of blue, so you can't see that very well. There we go. So there's not much of a variation. Again, another gradients stall, pull from the middle, so it's a paler blue. You can't really see it very well here, pale blue going out to a darker blue, and then I got this one to go with it. So and this colourway is Disco, and these two together, it wasn't exactly this blue one, but there was a sample of, was it the Painting Honeycombs, Stephen West shawl that Renee and Rachel on Table 10 podcast have been knitting recently, and I just really liked it. And when I saw these gradient yarns knit up into the, I don't know if it's exactly the Painting Honeycombs pattern or something very similar, but anyway, and to me it looked like that's what it looked like, but I don't think it is exactly the same. I think there are some differences, but to the untrained eye it looked like the Stephen West shawl Painting Honeycombs. So the idea is that this one, the Disco, will be the kind of the background yarn, and then the raised kind of ridges that go throughout the pattern. I'll put a picture of it, because if you've not seen the pattern you're not going to know what I'm talking about, which is pretty unhelpful. And then this bit, the blue, will be the raised kind of edges between the honeycombs, the kind of borders to each honeycomb shape. So that's what the plan is for that. And again, that was cotton and acrylic, 500 metre balls, pretty affordable as well, so that was lovely. And then this was more of an impulse purchase from that stall, so from the Yarn Mixology stall. So this is 1,000 metre or 265 gram skein or cake. So I saw this and it made me think of, is it Don McLean? That song Starry Starry Night by Vincent van Gogh. No, not by Vincent van Gogh, about Vincent van Gogh. And that's been an earworm for me, that song, over the last few months. There's just something, it just gets me. Mostly since I went to Amsterdam a very long time ago. I went to the Vincent van Gogh Museum. It's just really emotive. So anyway, I saw this on the shelf and that song just came into my head, the Starry Starry Night song. So I just had to get it. So this will be a shawl of some sort. Not entirely sure what, but it's going to be a shawl. So there's that. And then another stall that I went to, and this is going to be the last kind of yarn show acquisitions here. Gorgeous stall, and I just kept going to the stall, touching the yarn, loving the yarn, walking away, not being able to make a decision. So let me just show you. So it was the Knitting Shed. Was it the Knitting Shed? Yes, the Knitting Shed. The Knitting Shed store. So it's theknittingshed.com. Okay, so this colour, 3 skeins of this. It's darker and a more kind of goldeny mustardy colour in real life. Much deeper gold, a proper like old antique gold kind of colour. So this isn't showing it very well. So I got 3 skeins of this, and what is this? The colourway is Fool's Gold, and it's a merino silk single. So it's 4-ply, 400 metres to 100 grams, 70% superwash merino, 30% silk. So normally I would avoid single ply yarns because everything that I hear about them is that they pill lots. And after a very disappointing knit, I made a boxy, Hohi Locatelli's boxy, several years ago when I was a newer knitter, and I used some Knit Picks MCN, and it pilled like anything. and it really irritated me because the box is a lot of stitches, and it just looks crap no matter how much I defuzz it. It just always looks rubbish. So it's just really put me off. And that wasn't a single ply yarn, but I don't want anything that's going to pill lots, because it's just really soul destroying when you spend so long on something, then it looks crap really soon. But I love this colour so much. I spoke to one of the women on the stall and just said, look, have you got any, like, how pilly is this? And said to her about my impression about single ply yarns. And actually it was fantastic, because what she was wearing, she said this was knit out of this yarn. She showed me some samples as well that they had hanging up, and she, you know, she said this has been a sample for X number of years, quite a lot of years, and it's, you know, it's not pilling. Although she did say, that's it, I remember her saying something about if you're knitting something with this, don't have, because she said under the arms is the most vulnerable to pilling with this yarn. So she said just make sure you don't have any texture under the arm if you use this. So that's good, because I probably wouldn't have remembered that. So I'm telling you in the hopes that it will mean that future me remembers that. So anyway, she was just so, you know, she could show me the samples that have been knit in this yarn that weren't pilly at all. So that was it for me. I thought, yeah, okay, fine, I'm going to take a chance. I'm going to buy this yarn, because the colour was just, yeah, one of those that I just couldn't walk away from. So I don't know what I'm going to knit with this. It's 3 skeins, so probably some kind of a t-shirt. And then again, another yarn at the same stall, the Knitting Shed, that I couldn't walk away from. And this is the last of the yarn show acquisitions. So this, I'm not doing a very good job of this. Now this looks grey on the screen as I'm looking at you, and it absolutely is not grey. It's kind of an aqua sea green colour with gold on it. Will it pick it up the colour properly? No, that just looks really grey. Well, in real life, this is a much more kind of aqua-y, bluey. See, that's a bit better somehow. No, it's still not deep enough. Anyway, it's a gorgeous colour. Maybe have a look at on the website, and hopefully the pictures there will be more accurate. So this is, the colourway is Sea Witch, and it's flax. So it's 4 ply, so it's 366 meters to 100 grams, and it's 90% superwash merino and 10% linen. So I was interested in getting some of this because I've seen, now I know this isn't going to be the same stuff, but I've heard positive things about Frankie Gray Fibres. They've got a base with merino and linen that apparently knits up really well. And Sondionco, they've got a base as well. I think that's BFL and linen, but that's meant to be really nice. And again, I just thought I'd give it a go, because I'm not knit with this base before. So yeah, yeah. And I guess one of the things I would say, I wouldn't always look at samples. So when I went to the Knit and Stitch show, or the Knitting and Stitching show at Ali Pali, I wouldn't necessarily look at samples, but it was a really helpful experience in a couple of ways. So the yarn that I just told you about, the Knitting Shed yarn, that was really helpful to look at the samples. But also, I was quite surprised actually. There was one store that I went to that had some samples hanging up, and when I looked at them, they were just really pilly, the yarn. And I mean, it was helpful for me as the customer, because I looked at that and thought, no way, I'm not buying this yarn. It looked beautiful and I've been thinking about buying some, but when I saw how pilly it was, just thought, nah. And I just thought it was such a shame, because I don't know whether maybe it was the yarn that was the problem, or maybe you know, the stall holder didn't really check the samples before hanging them up. But you know, like, just depill the sweaters if you're hanging them up as samples, because they just didn't look, you wouldn't want to buy it seeing it that pilly. Now these might be samples that she's had for 20 years, and so, you know, it might be just not looking after the samples rather than anything to do with the yarn. But it definitely put me off, which wasn't a bad thing actually, because I certainly bought more than I needed. Right, let me just duck down here to my notebook. Oh, I need to apologise as well. Last time I didn't use my mic because I forgot. Today I'm not using my mic because my phone is plugged into charge, so my receiver, my Bluetooth receiver thing won't work. So hopefully you can still hear me okay. Right, okay, so yarn show, we've done that. Let's keep going with acquisitions and just get it out of the way. So this links actually to an FO, so let's start there. So I've, as probably most crafters, I have aspirational crafts that I want to do and have bought all the supplies for, but then don't do it. But I just thought, and this probably links to the Slay Your Dragons thing, which I'll come back to in a sec. I thought I need to use this stuff. So I bought this kit a while ago, needle felting kit, Trimmit's brand. Don't think it cost anything more than £10. So you got the polystyrene ball, the felting needle, and all the fibre to make this. And so that's what I did. And I'm really made up with this. Can't see it very well there. But look, you've got the holly and the berries. Put some string in it. And it took me probably no more than half an hour. So it didn't take very long at all. And this is the first thing I've ever needle felted. I've never done it before. But just thought, well, how hard can it be? So that's a little Christmas decoration ready for the tree. So really proud of that. So then, I mean, I do already have other needle felting kits at home that I've not used. But there was one in particular that I've seen online that I wanted to get. So this is an acquisition. So the Makers octopus. Now let me show you that a bit closer up. Doesn't that look absolutely lovely? It's fabulous. So yeah, I bought this kit. So you get everything inside it, everything that you need to make it. So you get the wool, pipe cleaners, instructions, the needles. Do you get the needles, I think? No, actually, that's right. You can, on the website, you can decide which version of the kit that you want. So you can request a kit without needles and without a printed pattern. I think that's the one that I got. You can request it with a printed pattern and with needles, but the prices differ. So you can choose whichever one you want. So this one does have the tools, and really interestingly, it's got the skill level down there. It says it's 1 out of 3, but that looks super cool. So I wouldn't have expected that to be easy. So yeah, so I got that because I just really liked the needle felting. It was just such a sense of achievement. And then one more set of acquisitions, which is over here. So Wool Warehouse had a sale on for drops, so I picked up some cotton merino. Oh, what am I doing? Yeah, so there's a bit of variation in the plying, you can see. So it's not like a solid colour. Now, what colourway is this? Oh, it's colour 34, whatever that means. But it's kind of a mustardy. So this is cotton and wool. I think it's 50-50. Superwash, really affordable. So I'm not paying attention. I was showing it to you over here and you can't see that. Sorry. So I got this because I was looking at the yarn show for yarn for the other wool and pine pattern that came out with the same lace pattern as the tee that I was talking about. So it's either Star Child or Love Child. Anyway, there was a cardigan that came out, and again, the sample, the main design, is in this kind of a colour. And I was looking for some yarn for it at the yarn show, but I just couldn't find what I wanted, because it's a DK. Is it DK? Yeah, it's DK. It's a DK pattern, and there wasn't that much DK at the show, and certainly not in a colour that I wanted. So yeah, I just picked up several balls of this in the Wool Warehouse sale, and then a sweater quantity, because I want to do a long sleeved lusk, the Cray Bayers pattern, and pink and red. I was always told they clash, but actually I'm loving it. So again, this is the Drops Cotton Merino, DK weight, 50-50 wool and cotton. I'm going to make a striped sweater with this. So I've got a sweater's quantity. It's ever since I bought some socks from Accessorize in the sale, and they were pink and red striped, and I love it. So now I want a sweater. So yeah, so I got that. Again, no business getting it because I've just brought home lots of lovely yarn from a yarn show. But anyway, there we go. Right, so I'm rattling on for ages. Where am I going to go next? Okay, Slay Your Dragons. So I don't know if you've seen the podcast It Is a Sarah. I really like her podcast. So she's from the Netherlands, and she does her podcast in Dutch and then separately also in English. So the same content, 2 different languages, 2 different videos. So I love watching her. And sorry, I've got plastic bags down by my feet, and you can probably hear the crumpling and crinkling. So she said that she used to teach at a school. Can't remember the school. Can't remember the name of the schools. But she used to teach at a school, and one of the things that they had was a Slay Your Dragons September. Now, apparently this links to some kind of a historical story, possibly to do with religion, that I don't remember very clearly. But ultimately, the way that I think Sarah has kind of put her own twist on it, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. Oh, that was just a notification on my watch about Table 10 podcast. So I'll look forward to that later. Anyway, sorry. So I was saying, Sarah. So Slash Your Dragons. No, not Slash Your Dragons, Slay Your Dragons. So I think that the way that Sarah I guess how she's responded to the Slay Your Dragons September is that she uses it as an opportunity for September to work on maybe some life goals, or maybe some things that were kind of getting in the way, or challenges in your life and so on, things that you really wanted to focus on. So I can't remember what Sarah's were, but I just really like the idea as a way to kind of just have an enhanced focus on something for a month. So I have borrowed this idea, and my dragon that I want to slay for September, and I would say go and look at the episode, because I'm doing a shocking job of describing it. So go and have a look. But I chose Stash and Skills. So Stash, basically I want to use get as much off the needles, or as much of my stash used as possible for the month of September. So I've got quite a few FOs consequently. And then the other one was Skills, and this is completely unrelated to knitting, but in my my job, as part of that, I've bought lots of online training programs, and I rarely have the time to. It's like yarn. It's almost like actually buying the training is a different activity to completing the training, as in collecting yarn is a different hobby to knitting of the yarn. So it kind of feels a bit like that. And so I thought, I've got so many really fantastic training things that I want to do, but I'm just going to focus on doing those. So Stash and Skills, so build my skills, reduce my stash for September. So now I will go on to FOs. Now actually, while I think of it, I'm going to show you the Mr. Fitzwilliam yarn that is in a project bag. So an Emma Ball project bag. This is an extra big one. I think this is Gnomes. Yeah, this is Gnomes. So this is a really big project bag. again, really affordable. Can't remember how much. But anyway, so last time, no, not last time, the first episode I spoke about wanting to do the Floozy sweater by Libby. I've got it here. Why am I trying to guess when I've got it here? The Floozy 2 by Truly Myrtle. So it's a finger in weight sweater. And the yarn I bought at Lay Family Yarn Knitting Retreat earlier this year. And the yarn that I told you about that I couldn't find is the Mr. Fitzwilliam. And this is absolutely gorgeous. Now the colour's not coming out very well on this again. So all these bits here, which are looking cream, they're not. They're kind of a dark parchmenty, goldeny kind of colour. Just absolutely gorgeous. The speckles in this are just unreal. Look at that. It's not picking it up very well. Let's see if I move my face. There we go. Absolutely gorgeous. So this is going to be the main colourway. So I've got a few skeins of that, and then I'm not sure what to do for the colour work portion. I've got some ideas. I've got this. Can't remember who dyed this. Useless podcaster. But I said earlier I'm not very original in terms of colours, and this colour is in the in Truly Myrtle's version on the front of the pattern. So this colourway. This is a sparkle, like a really dark, almost indigo-y navy sparkle. Again, that's showing up lighter in real life than it really is. It's all, yeah, it's more of an indigo, I would say, but you're not really seeing that because it's showing up lighter. So maybe that. But then wildcard, I thought, well, what about this? Kind of, it's showing up orangey on there, but it's more pink in real life. Yeah, the colours aren't, they're blowing out. Sorry about that. But anyway, so yeah, still undecided as to what colours I'm going to use for that one. But that's the Mr. Fitzwilliam. So I thought I would show you because I said I would. Right. FOs. So some of these I've only got pictures of because they're in circulation in the house. So one is a recent addition, is a tooth bag. Yes, I did say tooth bag. So my daughter has lost her first milk tooth today. So she's very, very excited about the tooth fairy coming. And so we wanted to make a bag to make sure that the tooth was ready for the tooth fairy and she didn't lose the tooth, and so she had somewhere to put the coin. So she wanted me to make, let me just pause. Right, that's just family moving around. She wanted me to embroider a tooth on the front of it. I don't have very strong embroidery skills. I can do cross stitch, but I've not really done embroidery before. So we're just trying to do a basic running stitch kind of thing with an offcut of some rainbow jersey fabric. Embroidering jersey fabric probably isn't a good idea, but it's what I had and I needed to do it quick. So the picture that I'll insert, I mean, I literally cut a strip, fold it in half, seams halfway down each side, and then there's kind of flaps at the top that you could just tie in a knot to stop the tooth from falling out, because when you're little, your teeth are really little. I didn't realise how small they are. Let me just pause again. Anyway, yeah, so that's currently under her pillow. I can't remember if I showed you these last time, but these, Betty sock, again, the colour's not showing up very well. It looks more green in real life than blue. Actually, I think I did show you this because I remember telling you this before. Anyway, right, so quickly take that one down because you've seen it before and you don't need to see it again. So another FO is the hat for my son that I showed you, I spoke about last time. So this is it, finished. I'm going to make him some mittens to match. So it's the basic beanie pattern I mentioned last time. So go to the last video and see this fits me. So this is the kid size, but it actually fits. So you can see the kind of pull in there. So he's made up. I'm going to make him some mittens as well to go with it. But he loves it. He wants to wear it all the time. What else? Tea Cosy. I'm going to put a photo in. So going with this kind of Slay Your Dragons thing and using up stash. I've gone off coffee lately and back into tea. And I've got teapots, but I haven't got a Tea Cosy. And I've got some ugly yarn that I will, well, you'll see from the photos. It was my first attempt at hand dyeing years and years and years ago. And it's ugly. It's never going to get you. I'm not going to knit it into anything. I'm not going to use it. It wasn't terrible, but it's not. It was just a bit crap, really. But because I was looking through my stash thinking, right, what can I use to make a Tea Cosy? I thought, well, all this yarn is too nice, and I've kind of got it set aside for projects mostly. It's mostly all spoken for. And then I saw this skein of yarn. I thought, right, this is your destiny. You are going to become a Tea Cosy. So I was looking at patterns on Ravelry. Didn't really see any that really grabbed me, and was impatient and just wanted the Tea Cosy, just wanted it. So I just made it up off the top of my head, basically. Crochet, because crochet's quick, and amazingly made a Tea Cosy that is actually the ugliest Tea Cosy that I've ever seen, but it's mine and it keeps my tea warm. And I'm really happy with it because I basically just made it up as I went along, out of crochet, which I've not really done before. I mean, it's not that impressive when you see the photo. It's really not that impressive, but I kind of made a hole for the spout and I stuck an extra bit on the other side to make space for the handle. Yeah, so that's another FO. And I've shown you the Christmas pudding and then hedgehogs. So I'll put a photo in of these as well. So they're currently hanging up on a little tree thing that I've got inside to hang things up on, little doodads. So I bought a sewing kit for Christmas years ago, and it's like a kid's sewing kit to make two little like soft hedgehog toys. So I made that again, slaying your dragons, get rid of stuff because it's just been sitting there looking at me for years. And it took me about 10 minutes to make them, and I'm really made up with them. So yeah, so they're hanging up. So really pleased with those. Right, let's go on to whips because I don't know how much space I've got left on my phone actually. Right, where should we start? I'll do it in order. Okay. Elton. So I can't remember where I was when I last showed you this, but basically I've finished the body. Let me hold it up. Finish the body. Need to weave the ends in. So I need to pick up for sleeves. I did try and pick up for sleeves, but the amount of stitches that you need to pick up is just really tricky, because if you see here, the mohair, it's really tricky to pick up in mohair. So I tried to pick up the right amount of stitches for the sleeve, but I was just way off in terms of the number of stitches I needed to get. So I was just getting fed up with it, so I gave up. So this is in the doghouse at the moment because yeah, we're not on speaking terms at the moment. So I'll come back to that at some point. So that's my Elton. Good news on the digger front. He doesn't want a digger anymore. He wants a scarf, which is a massive relief. However, it does still mean that I need to knit that horrible yarn. So another cast on because of the Slay Your Dragons thing. I'm wanting to knit thicker yarn to get more bulk out of my stash, like the things that are taking up the most physical space. So where is the bag? Oh, sorry, crinkle crinkle. Let me move this. Here we go. Right, so this also links to the Stash Down Diaries podcast, Jen's podcast. So she has this thing called Elder Stash. So basically the oldest yarn in your stash, use that. So this is probably some of the oldest yarn in my stash. So this is Drops Big Merino Superwash. It's more of a kind of more yellowy green, I think, in real life. It's more kind of like that kind of colour there. So it's colour 14, but it's kind of more of a forest green than a bottle green. That's looking more bottle green. In real life, it looks more forest green. So anyway, yeah. So the pattern that I bought this for years ago, because I do, on the whole, I do tend to buy yarn for a particular pattern. So the February Lady Sweater. So a pattern that I liked in Ravelry years ago when I first found Ravelry. So this pattern was, the version that I've got is version 2.1 from April the 9th 2009. So I've got a shop bought pattern like this, so you can see 3/4 length sleeves, buttons at the top, and then it's open at the bottom, and kind of A-line-ish shape, or it kind of hangs like that because there's no buttons here, it's just at the top. So I've got a grey version similar to this that I bought from Primark probably about 20 years ago. It's not wool, it's acrylic. I really like it. I would still wear it a lot. It's still in good condition, but I just wanted something else, something more, well, I guess another one, but in wool. So I've gone pretty far on this. I think I've only been doing it about a week. Right, I'm in the middle of a row here. And I've got yarn falling everywhere. So this is where I'm up to. So I've put the sleeve stitches on hold. I think probably, I feel like the sleeves are going to be too big, so I don't really know what to do about that because it's in a lace pattern as well. So I've done one repeat of the lace pattern there for the sleeve, you can see. Yeah, there's not really a schematic for the pattern. It's like a 2-page pattern, so there wasn't a schematic, and I didn't want to undo it all. So yeah, we'll see what happens with that. But anyway, so sorry, waking children. Yep, so did some buttonholes here which kind of look a bit messy, but having said that, they're probably the neatest buttonholes I've ever done. So she's got a link to a good tutorial as part of the pattern. So this is really nice and squidgy and squishy, so this is going to be really nice to wear on those days when it's not you don't really want a coat but you want a thick layer on to go out. This is a kind of nice jackety type thing. So yeah, I'm pretty pleased with that. That's going pretty well. And I said earlier I was going to contradict myself. This is the bit I'm working on now is lace, but it's a really simple lace pattern. 7 stitch repeat, really easy to memorise. So even when I'm tired, I can do it. So who knows? Let's see if the other whips that are stuck at lace get done soon as well. So that's my most active project at the moment. I'm working on that the most. There's an advent shawl Where have I put that? Right. Actually, let's show you these first because these are on top of that. So, another whip. Vanilla socks. So the yarn is Perfect Anna and Carlos colourways. So I've knit quite a few of these. I really like them. So it's Regia Perfect. The colours on there aren't true, if that makes sense. So you'll see it on the picture on there, it looks more purpley, but in real life it doesn't. It looks more blue. So I don't know if you've heard of this yarn before, but you get the yarn. Basically, see that's blue, isn't it? It's not purple, and it's a darker blue in real life, but that's blue. So the idea is, so you start by pulling from the middle, and I'll show you how far I've done. So the way it works, and obviously it depends on your shoe size as well, how it works out. So so this is on 2.5 needles, 2.5mm needles, 64 stitches. Basically you knit your ribbing until the yarn changes colour. So as soon as it stops being this solid blue colour and becomes more variegated, that's when you stop your ribbon and you just start knitting stockinette. And then it's a self-patterning yarn. So the pattern on this is less clear than some other versions that I've got. It's just nice mindless knitting. Yeah, I've got a few colourways of this, and it's just nice. You don't have to do measuring or anything like that. You just knit, and do the next bit when the yarn tells you to. So I will keep knitting in the round until the yarn turns back to this solid blue colour, and then that tells me when I need to start knitting the heel. So I usually do a heel flap and gusset heel, and then this colour will come back for the foot, and then thankfully, but my shoe size, I'm a UK 7, fits this perfectly, in that when the variegated yarn changes to the solid blue for the toe, that's the perfect size for me for what socks I need. If you've got smaller or bigger feet, there is enough yarn there, so you can always cut. You can cut the variegated yarn, the pattern yarn, sooner, and then just unravel it until you get to the solid blue bit to do your toe with the solid blue yarn. Equally, I guess you could, I don't know how, maybe you could just use, you would just have more maybe solid blue for your foot if you've got a much bigger foot than mine. Oh, stuff falling over. Yeah, so I've done this much, so really happy with that, and this is just really mindless, don't have to think about it at all. And then another sock that I've cast on, again, terrible podcaster, got no idea what this yarn is, no idea. It's 4-ply. That's not showing up very well either. So the colours there, the speckling, it's more kind of chartreusey, burnt orange, but that's not showing up very well. And it's kind of a dark, kind of a violet colour, but not, it's showing up more blue on the screen, but it's more purpley in real life. So yeah, this was languishing in stash, no plans for it, so I thought, right, I will knit you into socks. So just a vanilla sock. There we go. Yeah, the colour's showing up more true there than it did in the cake, and you can see some nice pooling there with those colours, and it's starting to micro stripe, which is really interesting. So then the final whip that I'm going to show you, and then I'm going to stop because I've been talking for ages and I don't know how much space I've got left on my phone to record this. This is, you've not seen this before, but this is an Advent project. It's an Amber O'Brien pattern. I haven't got the name of the pattern with me. It's over that part of the room at the moment, and I'm not going to get it because I'll just put the name up on the screen. But anyway, this is being knit with an advent from an advent swap that I did a couple of years ago. So the Crayer Bear a couple of years ago offered to organise an advent swap for people across the world. So you could submit your name, say that you'd be happy to provide an advent for somebody else of 24 mini skeins. I think it was 10 gram mini skeins, I think. And the idea was you got the information, you were paired up with somebody, you told them what your preferences in colours are, things you don't like, and then they had to kind of choose yarn either from their own stash or you know, buy the yarn, and then parcel it all up and send it to you with some extras if you want to. So yeah, so I signed up to that a couple of years ago, and so I thought it would be really nice to make a project with the yarn. Now, not all of the yarns in this project are from the advent. So this is, can't see very well, but that's where I'm up to so far. And you guessed it, it's lace, so it's been languishing. So let me show you the lace pattern. So that's the lace pattern. You can see that a bit better there when I move it. Yeah. So yeah, some of these were from the advent that I was sent. Some of these were from my own stash. So this is something that I've picked up recently to start working on, because it would be nice to get it finished before Christmas. Probably not going to happen because I've got so many other knitting plans between now and then. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to stop there. I've been talking for ages. You're probably sick of the sound of my voice. If not, thank you. Yeah, so let me just pop that away. It's quite late here, so it's, what time is it? It's 20 past 10 at night. It's past my bedtime. I need to go to bed. I'm sorry that you're getting the late in the day version of me after I've been at work and all the rest of it when I'm not at my most coherent or sparky. Yeah, so I feel like I've covered quite a lot there. If you